taking a big swing against a 20-plus year incumbent whose uncle happens to be Fidel Castro.
Yeah, these people are cowards, man. And it disgusts me what's going on, with your ops.
I don't know if you guys know what the Estes Kefauver Crime Committee is in the 1950s, but it outed all the mob bosses. It was nationally televised, and every mob boss from across the country went on.
Welcome to the Goat Show, the show where we celebrate and debate all things great. I am joined by my co-hosts, Fresh and Deezy. Gentlemen, good to see you. And today we have a very special guest that we're going to get to really soon. His name is Johnny Fratto, and he is running for Congress in the 26th Congressional District in Southern Florida. So we'll get to him in a second. But before we do, I just want to say, if you're watching this right now, please like, please subscribe, and please comment, but only if it's smart and something funny and creative, because we don't want dumb comments. All right, just do that for us, and we'll be good to go. But without further ado, I just want to go straight into it. We have Johnny Fratto speaking to us. Where are you speaking to us from, Johnny? You're in your vehicle. You're on the road.
Right now, I am in Fort Lauderdale on the campaign trail, although I am out of district right now as we speak. So my district extends from Naples to Hialeah, Doral, Miami Lakes. But my wife is from here in Fort Lauderdale. So we have an event tonight with Roger Stone. I'm going out with him. And I just dropped my wife off at Dry Bar to get her hair blown out because she wants to look good. So now I'm in the parking lot waiting for her to be done. The campaign trail doesn't get any more real than this. Believe me when I tell you.
Hey, well, listen. I think it's great that you're telling us this, because we want on this show, we talk about goats, and you wouldn't be on the show if we didn't think you were a goat. And we've had conversations before, and I'm super excited to have you on. And a big part of what I think excites us is not just what you're doing in terms of what you want to do politically in Congress and all that kind of stuff, but also that you have a very interesting story and you have a really great family, and we want to get into all that stuff. So the fact that you're on the road and she's doing her thing is great. So I think the first thing I just want to ask you about is who are you? Who is Johnny Fratto? What I think maybe we could start with just where you're from originally, and maybe some of your family history and your time growing up, and then we can talk about some other things. But maybe we just start there. How where are you from? What's your story? All that kind of stuff.
Sure. So, I have a weird story. I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa. So born and raised there. I moved to Los Angeles when I was 19. But the first, 19 years of the reason why I was in Iowa was because, it's a really weird thing. My grandfather was born on Taylor Street in Chicago in 1907. And this is where all the original mob guys grew up, was on Taylor Street. And they had a thing called the 42 gang because they wanted to be one more than Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. So my grandfather was part of that with, like Sam Giancana, Sam Battaglia, Tony Accardo, guys like this. So he was a part of those original guys. And Al Capone, he was a young guy. People don't realize Al Capone was a really young guy when he started. I mean, he was in his 20s, when he became the boss. So he started recruiting from the 42 gang into what would be known as the Chicago outfit. And all the original 42 gang guys became the Chicago outfit. So my grandfather was one of those. So, after Capone went away, there was Frank Nitti, and then Paul Ricca and Tony Accardo ultimately became the big boss until the 90s. But when the Chicago outfit took over the Midwest, they gave each one of their key guys different territories. So my grandfather was given Iowa and Nebraska. So that's where I grew up in Des Moines. So there's like video of my grandfather. I don't know if you guys know what the Estes Kefauver Crime Committee is in the 1950s, but it outed all the mob bosses. It was nationally televised, and every mob boss from across the country went on. And my grandfather, they had him go before that. They had him, years later go before Cape Hart, and then the McClellan Crime Committee. I have literal video of Bobby Kennedy questioning my grandfather about Jimmy Hoffa.
Wow.
So it's all pretty good. And you can look that up. Just type in Luigi Fratto on Google or YouTube. You'll find it immediately. You'll see the Kefauver one too. So there was that. Then my dad's older brother Frankie was killed in a plane crash with Rocky Marciano, the boxer, in 1969.
Wow.
And Rocky was like an extended part of our family, and they died in Newton, Iowa, on a small Cessna. And then my dad kind of took that life and made it into entertainment. So I moved out to LA when I was 19. My dad followed me the year after. Um, Merv Griffin, the old he owned Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, but more than that, he was a multi-billionaire. He owned the Beverly Hilton. He was a big real estate guy. So my dad and I lived at the Beverly Hilton, and it was an amazing 2 years I spent with Merv, and he introduced me to everybody in LA, and that's kind of how I got my beginning in LA was through Merv. He was a big talk show host. Remember that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer finds the Merv Griffin set at the end, and he starts doing that. That's Merv. So,
Yeah.
it was great. And now, and so I was in LA for 24 years, and it turned into. I mean, look, I'm sorry if any of you are still living there. I still have a love for it, but it's fucking done. Let's face facts. It's over with.
Yeah. Hey, just real quick. I mean, I was there for 12 years, man, and now I'm with you. I'm in Florida now, so just just putting that out there. But sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I mean, look, the liberals ruined it. Democrats ruined it. And really, we should be calling them communists and Marxists because that's what they really are. They don't even know it. They're so dumb and brainwashed. They don't even know what communism or socialism is. I wish I could, get them each a week to spend with a political prisoner from Cuba, and they'd understand pretty quick. But these people aren't very bright. And I watched our beautiful state, which I still believe California is the most beautiful state.
Oh yeah.
Topographically, I mean, look, you got mountains, you got ocean, you got snow, you got everything, right? And the weather's pretty great because I'm boiling down here in Florida. I still love Florida, but it's hot here. Um, so, you know, I spent years out there in the TV business. I was kind of, I hate to use the word chased out of that business, but look, when you're a big Trump supporter like I am, every single time I heard somebody talk smack on President Trump, I couldn't take it. I had to go in on
Mm.
him. And
Yeah.
people knew this about me. And because of that, they didn't want to work with me anymore. So it is what it is. But my dad, he kind of took that whole mob cachet, turned it into an entertainment career. He was on, as much as I used to love him, I hate him now because he's a leftist show, but he was on Howard Stern for 11 years.
Yeah.
He hosted all the mob shows. So I kind of really understand how this all works. Look, Hollywood and politics are very similar. Roger Stone told me the funniest thing. He said, politics is just Hollywood for ugly people. And that's why you're going to do really well. So that's it. Yeah. So that was the
Yeah,
answer. So
Roger.
now, yeah, oh yeah, he's hilarious, man. So
Yeah.
now I'm out here running for Congress, taking a big swing against a 20 plus year incumbent whose uncle happens to be Fidel Castro and who
No
happens to
way.
be one of the and who
Wow.
happens
Wow.
to be
Who
Okay.
is
one
it?
of the
Justin
biggest.
Trudeau?
Yeah, they're cousins. Yeah, they're actually cousins. Yeah, it's crazy. And listen, Justin Trudeau 100% is the son of
Is this?
Castro. I mean, even
Yeah.
Trump said it the other day.
As a Canadian, I agree.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
I
no
mean, oh
way.
man, oh my God, are you in Canada right now?
I am, bro. I'm in Toronto.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I am so sorry for you, my
I
brother.
appreciate it.
Down here, yeah. I mean, boy, oh. Well, anyway, I don't know what to say about that, but I'll say this.
No.
Look, I think America's turning around. There's no way Kamala Harris is going to win. Trump's coming back in a big way. But when Trump is back, what people got to realize is Trump's the greatest president we've ever had. But without the House and the Senate behind him, he doesn't
Mhm.
have much. And guess how many of there's 435 congressmen, there's 100 senators. Out of those 535 people, how many truly America first people are there in Congress? Maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe
Yeah. I mean, off the top of my head, it's like it can't be more than like 10.
not more than
Yeah.
10. And here's, Mario Diaz-Balart, the guy I'm running against, whose uncle is
Mhm.
Castro. Literally Castro. Anybody can look that up. And you look at his voting record, and he votes for LGBTQ stuff, gay marriage. Not that I'm against gay people, but you give them, you give the agenda an inch and it takes a mile. It
Right.
starts there, and then it goes all the way to, well, hey, why can't we be having drag shows for 3-year-olds, right? And that's and hey, why can't we protect pedophiles? Because that's what the agenda really is all about. And these
Right.
people on the left are too dumb to see it, and it's sad. So he votes for those things. He votes to give Ukraine money every time. He loves when Zelensky takes you know, billions of dollars and buys yachts and Bugattis and mega mansions while there's 370,000 homeless vets on the street.
Right.
It's disgusting. There's people that can't pay their bills. Um, and this is what he votes to do. He was, and here's the worst one to me. I mean, they're all bad, but the worst one to me is uh he FISA 702. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it allows the government to spy on Americans without a warrant from
Yep.
any judge or anything. And Mario was the deciding vote to vote for FISA 702. So it could have gone one way or the other, and Mario voted for it. So, and then he says he's anti-communist. It's like, well, hey, I'm pretty sure Castro would have voted for that too. So
Right.
how anti-communist are you, buddy?
Right.
So that's first of all. And then, obviously other things, amnesty for illegal aliens, which is crazy. He voted for, mandatory vaccinations. I mean, this guy's a Democrat.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he is a
Okay.
Democrat. By the way, how about this? He was a Democrat until the day he decided to run for Congress. He was in the Democrat Party. He started the club for young Democrats back in the day. I mean, so, he is a tried and true Democrat. He's a RINO. And politics is a sad thing because look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Who got the endorsement from President Trump? Mario Diaz-Balart.
Why?
Well, let me tell you why. Let me tell you how it
Okay.
works. I talked to one of, and I don't want to name his name because I don't want to get him in trouble if this would get him in trouble. I talked to one of Trump's very close advisors the other day, and he said, "Look, President Trump knows who you are. He loves you. He loves your mouthpiece. He thinks you got a great look. He thinks you got a great family. He thinks you got a great future in politics. But if he were to vote against Mario and Mario wins, committee, the chair of the appropriations committee, where money goes. He says if he votes for me or if he endorsed me and Mario ended up winning, Mario would screw Trump on the back end. And Trump unfortunately needs Mario to do what he needs. Now, Mario is no fan of President Trump. He's talked smack on President Trump several times. He said all the J6ers should be locked up. He was, by the way, 28 congressmen we have in the state of Florida. There's 20 of them that are Republicans. They're, how many are really Republicans? I don't know. Maybe only a few, but there's 20 Republicans. Out of those 20, Mario was the 19th one to endorse Trump, and only after Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race. So he's not really about President Trump, but Trump had to make the endorsement because it's political. He doesn't want to, believe me, but there's no choice. That's why I got Roger Stone to endorse me. George Papadopoulos, who's one of my best friends, and his wife Simona, who's a great girl. Then, guys like that, you probably don't know him, but there's kind of a local legend where I'm from in Naples, or where I'm living in Naples. His name is Alfie Oakes. He owns a grocery store called Seed to Table. And this place is like MAGAville. Like Joe Biden's head is in the urinals. All the trash cans say there's Trump stuff everywhere. And during COVID, if you were wearing a mask, he wouldn't let you in. He'd make you leave. So this guy is amazing, and he endorsed me. He put my stuff all over the place, and because of that, I'm going to definitely win Collier County. Now it's just a matter of winning Miami-Dade. But let me tell you this: I went on this AM radio show called Poderosa the other day in Miami, and boy, I lambasted Mario so bad to the point where he literally called the station uh, uh, 2 minutes after I was done, demanded airtime, went on today, and talked smack about me for 10 minutes straight. And that's how I know I'm over the target and he's scared and he is nervous. So I'm going, here I am, this guy out of nowhere, taking on a 20-year incumbent with very little money and with only 4.5 months of campaigning, making him scared. So I definitely know I have a path forward in politics because if I can do that with nothing and no time, then boy, I know there's a force to be reckoned with here, because
Yeah.
the truth
Yeah.
always shines. I mean, it's so easy when you tell the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, man, I don't know how I feel, man. I feel multiple ways about this. On the one hand, I'm like, how can somebody like that be in your district doing all this, and then I don't know, that bothers me, man. And that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. I kind of wanted to understand behind the scenes, how does this work? How does running for office in Florida, and just running for office in general, what are the kind of what's the way that a person should operate in that situation, or how do you I mean, it seems you choose to operate based on what you're saying, family, what do we have here, I believe it's family, faith and freedom, which what else do you have to run on? I don't understand.
Those are the
Yeah.
bedrocks. Look,
Yeah.
but without family, faith, and freedom, there's no America. That's what America is
Mhm.
founded on, and that's what these leftists have forgotten. They don't want family. They don't want a nuclear family. They want the government, the school to be the family. They want your teachers to be able to go chop off your private parts of your kid without your consent. They
Mhm.
love that. Faith, obviously. I mean, after we all saw the Olympics, we all know where their religion lies, right? I mean, these people are obviously
Yeah.
Satanists, out and out Satanists, so they don't want God. Um, and and freedom. Look, they don't know what freedom is. They take it for granted. They think that because they were born in America, America's always going to stay free. And go talk to any political prisoner from Cuba. Go talk to the people of Venezuela. Go talk to the people in Colombia right now. Go talk to the people in Nicaragua. They'll tell you differently. They've experienced it both ways. Uh, and you can lose your freedom very quickly. Cuba used to be the jewel of the Caribbean, they called it.
Mhm.
And what is it now?
Right. So, well, I want to ask you about you did an amazing music video with Latinos for Trump. I thought that was super cool, and I'm just curious about the 26th congressional district. Is it a majority Latino district, and how do
Oh
they
yeah.
view everything that you're talking about, and especially because I know at least when I've been down there, like you're saying, a lot of Venezuelans, a lot of Cubans, and everything that's going on in the world right now. What's sort of the makeup of that district, and what do you feel you bring to them in terms of your viewpoints?
Well, the 26th district is huge. So it extends all the way from Naples, which is on the west coast of Florida, to Hialeah, Doral, and Miami Lakes, and a few others. But those are the three big ones on the east coast.
Mhm.
And which is basically parts of Miami. Uh, and yeah, it's mostly Latino here, mostly Latino, mostly Cuban. Now the Naples side is mostly like older white people. It's more wealthy. But there's a lot of Cubans there as well, and a lot of Middle Eastern and Haitians. I shouldn't forget the Haitians. But we the it is a mostly Latino district. But what do I bring to them? I mean, it's real easy. Look, we're all the same. It doesn't matter what I bring to. It could be black people. It could be Latino people. It could
Yeah.
be. It doesn't matter what color you are. They could be from Venus. Okay, I bring the same thing to all the people. What do I bring? I bring truth, and I bring look. If you live in America, the American way. I want Americans to be able to experience the American dream. I got two little boys that are 5 and 3. I want them
Mhm.
to be able to grow up and experience the American dream. So it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what district you're from. I could be running anywhere, and I'd stand on the same values and principles.
Right.
And it's just the Constitution, the
Yep.
American way, the American dream, and let's not give it over to these globalist New World Order communists.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, man. We're all on the same page here with that. With that. I guess one thing I wanted to kind of talk to you about is just certain things that I noticed in your platform that I feel like kind of wanted to spotlight because I agree with what you're saying. The first thing was voter fraud. That's a huge concern for me. I It's almost to the point now where I'm like, if I go vote, is it even going to matter? Are they going to use these machines and whatever they got to try and manipulate things? What are your thoughts on voter fraud and the way that Florida should be conducting its elections?
Well, there's a lot of problems with the voting machine, with voting. It's not just the machines. The machines is one part of it, and yeah, the machines should be outlawed. By the way, I also made a challenge to my competitor Mario Diaz-Balart um, to talk bad about Dominion and Smartmatic machines, and he
Mhm.
will not do it because he loves it, obviously.
Mhm.
But look, here are the real problems. There's like 9 or 10 big problems with voting, but the main ones are, paper ballots. We got to go back to obviously voting machines. Same day voting is very important. Like all this early voting that we have now is garbage because it gives them a chance to cheat and know how many more votes they need. But the big one is voter rolls, and that's how they've been stealing it. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with a gentleman named Dr. Douglas Frank. He's the foremost expert on election fraud, and Mike Lindell and all these guys have been supporting him. He's big with President Trump. All these guys, they go around together, and he gives whole seminars on how our elections are being stolen. When he shows you his presentation, I mean, it's pretty wild. And by the way, it's every single state. Don't think Florida's not. He said Florida's
Mhm.
just as bad as California. But over here, you got the so-called Republicans. But don't be fooled. Do not be
Yeah.
fooled. You know, they do the same thing everywhere, but they're adding people to the voter rolls, dead people, people that moved out of state, people that, and so what they do is they add them right before the election and then they remove them right afterwards. So this is the big problem, you know? Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm out in Arizona, and Katie Hobbs was in charge of the election, and I don't see how everybody in Arizona who loves Carrie Lake, she's been in front of you every morning if you watched TV, if you watch the news, she's a familiar face. People love her. She had like millions of followers on social media. Katie Hobbs had like 2,000 followers on social media. Like, she's an unknown person who happened to be in charge of the elections when she was running for governor. Like, there's so much conflict of interest, and it's kind of bizarre, man. We had so many issues on election day, the Sharpie marker scandal. There's all kinds of stuff that popped up here in Maricopa County, and you're not wrong, man. There's so much going on. It's like, how can we assure that these elections are going to be counted correctly, and that our vote really matters?
Didn't they just come out saying that the machines have a vulnerability and can be hacked, but it's too late to fix it or some shit?
Yeah, I think there's a big scandal going on with that right now. I mean, look, you know, nothing's ever too late to fix.
Mhm.
All we got to do is turn the machines off. I mean, we don't need these machines. I mean, that's why there's so many precincts in every single city and state because it's meant so that eh, you know, look, if you have a room full of 30, 40 people counting ballots, you can count several thousand ballots, even 20,000 ballots relatively in a relatively short amount of time. So we
Right.
don't need these voting machines. It's all garbage. It's just nonsense for them to be able to cheat. Yeah, I mean, look, when you see Katie Hobbs winning and then you saw, a caravan that stretched across the entire state for Trump there. And, Carrie Lake is with Trump every time. I find it really hard to believe that Katie Hobbs could ever win. And by the way, she did the classic Democrat communist thing when, everybody approaches her. You see that one video of her from a year or two ago of her, she got approached and she went and hid in the bathroom and didn't come out until her people got, I mean, that's hilarious, man. It's like, you know what? Stand in front of it. If
Yeah.
you really did do nothing wrong, stand in front of that person and say you're wrong and then tell them why. But you can't
Yeah.
because you know you're a fucking cheater.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. These people are cowards, man.
Yeah.
And it disgusts me what's going on, with your ops, we like to say, but no, I feel you're a real one, man. I believe in you. I think you're gonna make it. I wanted to ask you some other things. You touched on immigration, and I know in Florida that's more the say immigration from Venezuela and Cuba and places like that. But just what are your general thoughts on immigration in the United States and what we should do about it?
Well, look, if you're coming here legally, you're coming here legally. That's what America's all about. Anybody can come here from anywhere in the world. That's the greatest part. But do it legally. I mean, why are we? Look at all the people that did do it legally, um, and have been trying for years and still don't have their green card and still don't have their citizenship. And then there's people that come across the border in one day, get $2,200 a month from the government and all these other benefits. I mean, think about that for a minute. There's old people that have paid into Social Security their whole life. They don't get 2,200 bucks a month. They're lucky to get 1,000. But if you're an illegal immigrant that crosses over the border, you automatically get $2,200. You get free housing and boarding. You get a free cell phone. You get insurance. You get education. You get everything. It is BS, dude. It is BS, and it shouldn't be that way.
Dude, I was joking with my brother. I was like, why don't we just fly into Mexico and then just cross the border and I'll get my rent paid every month. Why not? Why don't we just do that? It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, how crazy? I mean, it's just nuts, Everything, and these leftists, they just don't have it together. I don't know what's wrong in their mind. They cannot accept that what the mainstream media tells them is bullcrap. They just think everything they see. Oh my God, that got fact checked. Nope, Snopes said that wasn't true. Oh, Snopes said it wasn't true. You mean the guy that lives with his wife and his stripper ex girlfriend, or is that who you're talking? Like, yeah, very credible people. Like, what the hell are you talking about, people? These people are dumb, you know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. We were talking about that before the show. Just and I do want to get to some more national politics stuff with this whole Kamala thing, but I want to ask a few more things about your platform, and then we'll get into all that kind of stuff. One of my favorites, man. This is my favorite. I don't know if it's something that the people in your district, if they care the most about, but to me, and the Fed is it to me, the Fed is the center of all this insanity. They're the they have the deep pockets to fund all this stuff. So I'm just kind of curious about your stance on the Fed. You say right on your website, and the Fed. What are your thoughts on the Federal Reserve and its role in the United States economy?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. Not only is it the center, I mean, you know how they say money is the root of all evil?
Mm,
Well, I don't think money is the root of all evil. I think being able to print money endlessly in a Ponzi scheme that only benefits you is the root of all evil, right? So here
yeah,
you got the Federal Reserve, which is, a privately owned bank that, it was, created in 1910 and then, got enacted in 1913 by, a group of you'd know all their names, Rothschild, Rockefeller, Warburg, Harriman, J.P. Morgan. All these people got together on a little island called Jekyll Island and created this thing. And they created their own legislation. They made it so that you can't audit. I mean, the Federal Reserve has never been audited in 121 years, 120, like whatever that is. Think about that. That's nuts. And they print all of our money, and it's just endless. And people don't understand what inflation really is. All inflation is the law of supply and demand. The more of something there is, the less valuable it's worth. So when you print up trillions and trillions of dollars, what do you think is going to happen to your dollar? It's going
mm,
to devalue because there's so many more out there. And that's what inflation really is. It's not that a candy bar went from being a nickel in 1930 to $2 now because chocolate got more expensive. No, it's because the dollar got devalued. That's all it really is, because there's so many more dollars out there. So it's really easy to understand, but they want to make it think it's, oh no, and they'll confuse you. And they'll say it's corporations, it's this, it's that. And by the way,
right,
sure, corporations are evil, right? We all look, things like BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. We all know where the evil is, right?
right,
Corporations are evil, but at the same time, that's misdirection. It's
right,
inflation is happening because all these profits that the corporations are taking. No, that's just straight greed.
yeah,
It doesn't have any fucking thing to do with inflation. Not one
right.
thing to do with inflation.
Well, and the money. I mean, they get all the money first. I mean, that's the truth. They get all the money first. So when people are like, "Oh, they're buying up all the houses," and you can't even get, as a young adult, you can't get a single family home. It's like, well, guess what? Guess who's paying for it? The Federal Reserve's paying for it, and they're giving it to all their buddies on Wall Street. I could go on forever, but
Well, and why do they love war? War is their biggest business. Let's go destabilize a nation. Let's blow it
mhm,
to smithereens. Let's kill a bunch of people, and then we'll give all of our friends the contracts to rebuild it, and then we'll bring more military stuff. It's endless, and that's why they love it so much, and that's why they hate Trump. Look, under Trump, how many more wars did we have? Zero,
right.
zero new wars under Trump. That's why they hate him. Their little laundry machine got turned off.
Well, what? So, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, but I'm assuming your stance on war is no wars.
Of course, no wars. Of
Yeah,
100% no wars. And listen, unless somebody lands on our shoreline, okay, and it's like that movie Red Dawn. No, we should not be going to war. There's no reason to go to war unless that happens. I mean, listen, I'm not for any innocent person getting killed. War is a horrible thing, but why are we defending the Ukraine's borders and not defending ours? How many terrorists have come over our border that are sleeper cells that are here right now that are waiting to do God knows what?
right.
But instead of protecting ourselves, we're protecting Ukraine's border from Vladimir Putin. Oh, he's the most evil guy in the world. He's going to go into Poland. He's going to do all this. Like, really? Because I don't think so. I think you're poking him. I
Mm,
think you're encroaching on him. I think that NATO's the one poking him, goading him into World War III, because
right.
that's what they want. They want World War III. It would the deep state, call them whatever you want to call them, the deep state, the New World Order. Their best case scenario is, you know, uh, uh, Russia going in. They would love that because then they could fire up that war machine, and there goes the printing press again, right? That money
Yep.
printing press. So that's what they want. So that's why they're poking the bear. I don't think Putin wants this. I really don't.
Yeah, these people are sociopaths, man, and it drives me crazy. And I'm glad you spoke to all that, and I really respect that you're putting it out there because there's too many people just trying to manipulate their way and doing all this like squirm toad shit, and I'm fucking sick of it. And I'm
Well,
glad that there are people like you running for office. So
well, they do that for a very good reason. I mean, look, once you're in, I'll tell you a story. I want to say his name so bad, But I'll leave it to you like this.
Okay.
There is a congressman serving in Congress right now. His district is connected to my district. They share a border, and he is, by all measures, very MAGA, very America first. You look at his voting record; it is impeccable. But I went up to him and asked to take a picture with him. He said, "Well, what's your name?" I'm like, "Johnny Fratto. We know a lot of the same people." "Really? What's your deal?" "I'm running." "Well, actually, I'm running for Congress in the 26th district against Mario Diaz-Balart, right next door." "Sorry, man, I can't take a picture with you." "Why?" Mario's my friend. I'm just never going to go against Mario." "You won't even take a picture with me? You know your friend's a super rhino, right? You're America first. He's their super rhino." "Doesn't matter. I'm never going to go against Mario." "Really? Okay." So then I see their game, because that was even a step that I didn't see, because I want to believe that guys like this guy are America first, and they have our best intentions in mind. But when I what I see what I've come to realize about this guy is he's just a Trojan horse. He says all the right things. When I looked into his past, because I didn't know these things, he talked crap about President Trump in the past. um, you know, uh, and not only did he talk crap about President Trump, but now he's standing in front of rhinos, protecting rhinos, and not only protecting rhinos, but endorsing rhinos on the local side. So everybody thinks, all these older people that don't know any better. And by the way, I'm guilty too, because before I had that experience with him, I thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now that I know who he's endorsing and I see how he rolls, I know he's just a Trojan horse for the deep state, and that's all he is. And it's
Wow.
sad.
Wow. Man, I kind of want to ask you more about that kind of stuff. Like what, and you've told a couple of things already, but how bad is it really behind the scenes? How much snake like behavior like that is happening? Can you trust anyone? How do you trust anybody who's running for office or anything?
Well, but I mean, look, behind the scenes, I don't even know yet, because I haven't been in Congress yet. I'm just running for Congress. I've heard a lot of things that are horrible. I've seen some things that are questionable. Well, not even questionable, flat out, just like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm witnessing this. But I haven't probably seen anywhere near the full extent of anything, because I'm not in the club.
Mm, right.
And even when I do get into the club, guess what? I'm still not going to be part of the club, because I don't
Right.
like any of these people. You
Right.
know, my treasurer asked me the other day, "Well, what do you want to do when you get in? Like, do you want to, like, climb up in the leadership?" I'm like, no, no. I'm getting in there to be there for my constituents and my people in the
Mm,
district. Look,
right.
if I climb up in the leadership, great. But like you're asking, why does this happen? Because when you get in the power, it's so much power. You have lobbyists coming to you. You have corporations coming to you. You have, the ability to make things happen on a national level with one phone call. And you start to realize, oh my gosh, I can make millions of dollars. Look, they all go in broke. They all come out multimillionaires. Well, there's a reason for that. So now they all protect each other. So once you're in, if you want that, if you want those tens of millions of dollars, then you're going to play the game. You're going to play the game they want to play, and you're going to be one of them. It's
Mm,
not my life's passion to be one of these people. Look, everybody would love to be well off and be able to not have to worry about money. That's anybody. But look, man, as long as I'm making enough to take care of a nice little life, send my kids to a nice little school, and make sure my wife can go to, get her hair blown out, we're good.
yeah. Yeah. Respect to that, man. Respect to that.
Yeah.
Um,
What's that saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yep.
yeah. Well, I respect you, man. I really love what you're about, and with that in mind, I do want to get your thoughts on sort of the bigger picture here with what's going on nationally, and what you've seen. I think first off, I know Trump endorsed your opponent, and that is what it is. But I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on Trump, and sort of have you been a Trump supporter for a while now? What are your thoughts on him and what's going on nationally?
It's a funny thing. I never really gave Trump much thought before he became the president. I really loved I would love, the only thing because I never watched The Apprentice, I never read any of his books. Um, I didn't know a lot I knew he was a real estate guy. I knew his name was everywhere. That's about the extent of what I knew about Trump, obviously. I knew he had his reality show. I started to see him get I didn't even know he was involved in politics in any way until he started talking about Barack Obama's birth certificate, which I loved because I really hated Obama. So I was like, wow, okay, well, that's something. And then he announced he was running for president, and I was like, all right, well, hopefully he's a real one, but I don't know. We'll see. They're all kind of the same, whatever. He's running for president, big whoop. And then all of a sudden he starts doing debates and he starts talking about the banks and the deep state and this and that. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's my guy right there. Okay. And then after that, nothing he said, uh, I got behind everything he said and did because, look, he's been the greatest president. Once he was sworn in on that day, I mean, we had a great, magnificent 4 years. And we got to see what it would be like with a great president. He was still up against a lot with, the House and the Senate against him. Even he said, and he was still a boss.
Mhm.
And now he's coming back. We all know he's gonna take the White House again. And look, there's nobody that is behind President Trump more than me. I love the guy. Uh, and I think he's the greatest president we've had in our lifetime, probably even our grandparents' lifetime. I'd say
Yeah.
before him, you got George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. I mean Teddy Roosevelt was cool. He did some manly stuff, but still, President Trump, greatest president, man. I mean, and look, I'm not going to even talk smack on JFK because JFK. Uh, I mean, look, Executive Order 11110. I mean, this guy tried to end the Fed back in '63 and took a bullet for it. Spoke out against the CIA. So, look, I think I think he started what Trump is going to put an end to. I think it all started with JFK, and I think that it's all going to end with Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel confident about him getting the second term coming up?
1,000%.
I hope you're right, man, because I feel like there's shenanigans going on. I mean,
The fix seems to be in, right? Like they seem to be pushing this narrative that Kamala is ahead in polls, and it just seems to me like the fix is already in.
Well, look, I think that that's what they think. And I think that in their best case scenario, obviously they're going to try to steal it again because why wouldn't they? Of course they're going to try to steal it again. But like Trump says, it's going to be too big to rig. But not only is it too big to rig, I genuinely think there's more to the story this time. And it's such a long thing to get into. But I believe there are other forces at work that are watching very closely what's going on. And they know everything that's going on. And by the way, I think they knew it the first time in 2020, but I think there's a chance they let it happen because there's a chance they may have had to let it happen for certain reasons.
mhm.
And now here we come. So anyway, everybody say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist for thinking the way you think." It's like, I don't think so. I think there's so much validity to it. I think everybody in America is going to know very soon.
All right.
So
That's-
what are your thoughts on Vance?
Oh, and JD Vance. I mean, look, I I want to like him because Trump picked him, but Trump also endorsed Mario Diaz-Balart.
Yeah.
Trump, and I'm not talking smack on Trump's endorsements at all, and the people he chooses. Look, maybe JD Vance is the best guy for the job. He's young. He was a Marine. He is smart. But again, I am going to reserve judgment until I see what he does because, look, I liked Mike Pence in the beginning, and what a flop that was.
Hmm.
So for me, people have got to earn it. And so far, JD Vance, I'm going to be behind him 100%, but I want to see him do some magic. I want to see him do some real stuff because, look, back in the day, and everybody can change. Back in the day, he didn't say the nicest things about President Trump. And when I watch those things, it makes me go, ugh, boy, that's hard to swallow. But maybe he really did do a 180, and that's what I'm praying for. And if he
Yeah.
didn't, you know what? Then he'll deal with God.
I did want to ask you real quick about sort of your endorsements and your relationships with say Roger Stone and George Papa D, and some of the others. And I because during the whole of Trump's first term, I mean, golly, those guys went through the gauntlet. And if there's anybody, I think that probably knows the full extent of how evil this this deep state can be, it's going to be them. But I'm just kind of curious how you got in their orbit, and the fact that they're endorsing you speaks volumes. And I'm just kind of curious what your relationship is with them and how you know them.
Sure. Well, it's all weird. What can I say? Coincidences. So when I lived in LA, I belonged to this private cigar club called the Grand Havana Room in Beverly Hills. It's a very private, exclusive club. And when you're sitting up there, everybody's up there. Mel Gibson's up there smoking his cigar. You got the Stallone family. You got everybody. I mean, it's a pretty fantastic place to be. And I used to post up there after COVID, even before COVID, but after COVID, I used it as my office because nobody had offices anymore. I was just like, okay, I can smoke a cigar here. I can eat some lunch. I can take my meeting. It's right in the smack dab in Beverly Hills, so it was easy. Um, but I saw George Papadopoulos coming in there regularly for about a month, and I didn't know him. I knew people that did know him, but I didn't know him. And one day, a good friend of mine that was also a member there, his name is Daryl Casalino. I'll give him a shout out. I love Daryl. He's the best. He's hilarious too. This guy says, "Hey, Johnny, I want you to meet my friend George Papadopoulos." I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." I'm like, "George, we have many mutual friends." Start talking. Just became fast friends. I said, "So are you a member here?" Because I didn't know. He's like, "No, I'm not. It's like impossible to get a membership here." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but I'll get you a membership." He's like, "You can get me. How are you going to get me a membership? It takes like 5 years." I said, "Just trust me." I had him a membership within a week. So
Nice.
I said, my brother, I said, anybody that went to jail and was targeted by the deep state and, had the government weaponized against him and has a presidential pardon deserves to get a membership within a week. So I went to the owner, and the owner was like, "You're right." And I got him in. So anyway, after that, George and I became great friends, and we sat together all the time. And George is actually the one that told me I should run for office. And
Nice.
I thought he was joking at first because I mean, people say stuff, right? And he's like,
Mhm.
"No, man, you're just so passionate about this. People love that." And I was like, "Well, maybe you're right, man. I don't know." And I I came to an epiphany one day because I took my little boy, who's 5 years old, to the toy store over on Olympic and Sepulveda, that Lakeshore Learning Center. And there was a guy shooting heroin on the front steps with the cop watching, doing
Mm-mm.
nothing. And I called my wife, who's from Florida. She's from Fort Lauderdale and Miami. And she's been trying to get me to move here for 6 years, 7 years, because this is her hometown. Her whole family's here. They've been here for 100 years. And I said, "Babe, you got your lucky day. We're moving to Florida." And she's like, "Well, what are you going to do there?" I said, "You know what? I'm running for office there." She said, "Are you crazy?" I said, "Yeah." So, so anyway, I did that. And then with Roger Stone, it was a weird thing because I met him through another guy that I knew in LA. I didn't meet him. I just got his phone number and I talked to him. And Roger, when I first talked to him, kind of blew me off. Not in a bad way, but just in a way of being like, "Hey kid, that's really cute that you want to run for office." Very cute. Call me when when you got some chops, okay? Let me know. Okay. So 2 weeks later, I went to an event that he was hosting at this church. He was on a panel at this church in Lee County over in Fort Myers, and I went there and I introduced myself. My wife was with me, and I said, "Hey, I'm that guy that you spoke to on the phone. Blah blah." We had a nice little interaction together, and that was about the extent of it. But what I didn't tell him was George Papadopoulos had already hooked up a dinner meeting with George, Roger,
Mm.
me, and my campaign manager. But I didn't want to tell him that because I wanted to roll up on him again and just be like, "Hey, remember the guy you talked to on the phone that you saw the thing? Here I am again. I'm the guy that George was talking about. You didn't even know it."
Right.
It's like, I told George not to tell him my name so that when I rolled in again, it would be another surprise to know. Then he goes, "Oh my God, you are for." So I go to that meeting that night. He's like, "Wait." I'm like, he's like, I said, "Roger." He's like, "What, do you follow me?" I'm like, "No, I'm the guy you have a meeting with tonight. I'm George's friend." He's like, "Wait, you're George's friend?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Why didn't you just tell me that?" I said, "Because this is much more fun." And then Roger loved me after that. And then we got close, and then he ended up endorsing me, and after I heard me out and everything. Yeah.
That's great. That's great,
Yeah.
man. That's a that's interesting. You outmaneuvered Roger Stone, bro. No, I'm joking, but
I kind of feel that way, so, but definitely probably not, but still,
no, no.
it's fun to think. It's fun to think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Talk about an American legend
Yeah.
there. Um, okay, well, listen, I got to ask you some heavy questions, man. Some big heavy questions. All right, and you kind of touched on it earlier, but is America lost? Have we lost? And if we have or have not, either way, can we get back on track? Can we win again?
Well, when you say lost, um,
I guess
articulate.
I that is a good counter question. I think for me personally, it's more of a just a feeling and an idea. There's a video, and we don't have to find it right now, but there's a video that someone posted on YouTube, and it was somebody interviewing people in the hood in the early '90s, right? And they were asking a very simple question: "What do you think about white people?" Okay, and they were all like, "I got no problem with white people. Whatever, we're all people. You
I
know,
love
it's
me
not about
white
race,
people. I want to marry. I might even marry one.
and it's not
Like,
about yeah, it's not about whiteness. It's about this idea. When I was growing up, '80s, '90s kid, it really did feel like if someone was racist, it was almost it was an absurd like stupidity. If you even looked at somebody and went like, "I'm going to evaluate you based on these arbitrary things that now these progressives have just infected our country with," and beyond that, I think it's just an attitude of being pro America. Like when I was growing up, you had conservatives or you had liberals, but there was a baseline. It's like, okay, we believe in free speech. We believe in even if we disagreed on how 2A was enacted, there was a fundamental belief 2A is important. There was this understanding of the Constitution, and it was fundamental to us being Americans, even if we were on a divide or we had different viewpoints about how those laws are enacted. But nowadays, I feel like it's literally like invaders in the sense that there's the people like us that are still intensely pro-constitutionalist and believe that the American dream is an actual dream that's achievable and worth pursuing, and there's this entire other group that just wants to destroy everything. They want to deconstruct everything, destroy everything. They want to get rid of the Constitution. So I guess that's what I'm talking
Well, look, first of all, is America is is it lost? No, because there's so many of us now that, and obviously when
about.
you look at Trump rallies and you see all the people that are showing up, it's definitely not lost. Now, are there individual people that are lost? Very lost. America's not lost at all. It's the people that need to get it together and understand what's going on. Look, the reason why racism is so prevalent now, and it's a false narrative, because how many real racists do you know?
Right.
I don't think I really know any. You know, it's not like I know any card carrying KKK members. I don't. I don't know where they. I'm sure they exist. I don't know 'em. But the point is that look, um, they had to do this. The communists and the leftists had to make, because everything to them is race, and the reason why. I mean, do you know I mean, can you get down to the basic reason why? I mean, I think I've got it pinpointed why.
I mean, I don't know if you follow Dave Smith, but he made an interesting point on the PBD podcast where he shows that in 2008, right, we were all going against the 1%, the actual enemies of this thing that we've talked about, Federal Reserve, the big banks, all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
then
Ron
a
Paul was
curious,
amazing.
exactly, and then a curious thing happens in 2012 where all of a sudden, oh, Google searches for racism and sexism and transgender issues, and all these things start suddenly populating for some reason. They start
Well,
pushing a narrative.
I think it's because of this. Look, in order to do away with the United States Constitution, because that's what's standing in these people's way, the the the
Mm,
the the the, the deep state, the globalists, the new world order, their government, what they're trying, their agenda, their mission is a one world government, a one world religion, a cashless society,
mm,
a one world currency. And to achieve that, it's got to be communism, right? So, how do you get rid of the United States Constitution, that pesky little piece of paper that stands in front of their goals and dreams? Well,
Call it racist.
you call it racist and you tear
mm,
it down from its foundation. So, if enough young people go, well, the United States is great and all, but it was founded on racism and the Constitution is racist, so we got to do away with it. Well, guess what? Now you just did away with that. Now everything's on the table. Now they can
right.
take your guns, they can take away your free speech, they can take away everything. And when they can do that, then they can get their new world order. But that is what's standing in their way. So in order for them to get that gone, it's got to be the most racist thing there is. That's
Right,
why.
right,
That's
right,
why.
right. Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. That's and I think also there has to be. something I talk about with my brother. My brother's was in the military and all that kind of stuff. And so there's an American spirit that I think exists, which I think is a rebellious spirit. It's a big middle finger kind of spirit, right? It's nope, rugged individualism. Nope, you're not going to rule me. Nope, you're not going to tell me I can't build what I'm going to build in this world, and you can't tell me that I can't be the head of my family, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think they want to kill that spirit. They're trying desperately to break that individualistic and I don't know, essence, in my opinion, and try and replace it with a collectivist essence. But I know I'm digressing here, but uh, I guess from your perspective, do you feel like we are now winning in that regard? That even what the media is putting out there and all this stuff, that on the ground level, what you're seeing in Florida, in the constituents there, that we're definitely going to be winning this thing, and we got to do the work. But I'm just saying that it's not on a downtrend. This idea that America's in decline is false. That we are actually going to reverse this thing and show everybody what we're about.
Well, I think it's not the people that are in decline. Like, when we say a nation in decline, it is a nation in decline because of our leaders, but not the people.
Mm,
We all want the same thing, right? We want to be able to prosper and raise our families and live the American dream. I think most of us are on board with that, which is why the Trump rallies are so big, like I said, which is why him and Elon Musk get nearly 100 million viewers and over 1 billion views now, or whatever. This is what people want from all over the world, by the way. This is why everybody wants to come to America. You don't ever see anybody going, "Oh my God, I'm dying to go to freaking France. Like, I got to move to France. I got to move to Mexico." Nobody does that, right? So
right.
everybody wants to come here. And so what? But what's in decline? I mean, look, it's just the leadership, man. It's just, that's all it boils down to, is the leadership. And who's our leadership? I mean, yeah, Congress, sure. The president, absolutely. But they're bought and paid for by the bankers. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, who owns them? Who owns them, and who's giving them all their money, and who's making sure. And that's the thing. So it's like you said in the beginning. I think we eliminate the Federal Reserve. I think all these problems, I think that's the root cause, and everything else is just a symptom. I think that you get rid of their endless printing press
Yeah.
and their ability, and the Fed, all of a sudden overnight, all these problems come to a very miraculous end. And by the way, you see what already ended, the Chevron doctrine. Did you see that? The Chevron deference? That came
Yes.
to an end. That was huge. I
That's a
mean,
big
people don't
deal.
realize how big that was. For people that don't know, the Chevron deference, or they call it the Chevron doctrine, was, enacted in 1984, and it basically gave the right to, um, basically the Supreme Court said, "Hey, look, bureaucracies, all this red tape. These bureaus are now going to be in charge of everything because they're the experts on everything. So it's not going to be the federal government anymore. So the federal government's got to trust what they say. But then the problem is these bureaucracies, like the FDA, the WHO, the Department of Education, all these bureaucracies come up with their own agendas and their own plans that are being funded by guys like George Soros, to bring about a new world order. So it's not really about what's best for anybody, but they're the ones that have the law. So now that came to an end. So now that that's ended, we can take we don't have to worry about going through all these bureaus anymore. And
Right.
that's going to be a huge help to President Trump. Believe me.
I'll say, well, the two greatest things I think President Trump did during his first term. First thing is no new wars, for sure. But the second thing, man, the Supreme Court. Can you imagine if Hillary had won, what this country would be like in the Supreme Court? Holy shit, dude. It would be it'd be a nightmare.
I can assure you this: if Hillary would have won, none of us would be talking right now. I promise you that. We'd all be in a freaking
We'd all be
gulag
killeried.
somewhere. Yeah, we'd be in a FEMA camp somewhere. Believe me when I tell you, we'd be, it'd be bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, listen, man. I want to make sure that we let people know what they can do in terms of supporting you, and when. So I believe the election is next Tuesday. Is that, or the
August,
primary?
yeah, August 20th, Tuesday, August 20th.
Tuesday, August 20th, and I guess they can look up their local precinct online, or is there something or
Yeah,
somewhere we can send them?
yeah, they can look it up online. It's pretty easy. Right now, early voting is going on as well, which is horrible. I don't think
Hmm.
early voting should be allowed, but it is. So right now
Yeah.
there's early voting. So if you want to get out there and vote early, go right now. And then, but yeah, the big day is August 20th, Tuesday, August 20th.
Okay, great. And then if somebody wants to donate, what's the best way to donate to your campaign?
There's a page, you can go to my website. There's a donation link somewhere on the page. You can look for it. It's just Fratto4Florida.com, FOR Florida, or you can just go to JohnnyFratto.com. It'll take you to the same place.
Okay, great. And we'll put all those links in the description for you here. So, all right, listen, Johnny. I don't know when your wife is getting out of her blowout going on there, but I just want to say to you, first of all, thank you for being on the GOAT Show. I know we're a small show right now, and we're new, so having you on the show in this capacity is huge, and we just really appreciate you rolling the dice with us and coming on and talking to us about everything going on in your run and just in life in general. Just want to give you a thanks for that. And then also, we want to toast you, man. This is the GOAT Show. We toast the goats on this show, and you've been an amazing guest, and I think you're an amazing candidate, and I like your positions, and I think that if you're out there, America, well, I guess I should say if you're out there, South Florida, don't vote for that other guy. Come on now.
District 26.
District 26. Come on now. You ain't going to vote for this Mario communist Castro guy. Are you crazy? No, you're going to go out and vote for Johnny Fratto, either early or at the booth, next Tuesday. So definitely look up your precinct. But here we go. I'm just going to toast you, Johnny Fratto, a true G out here in these streets. Cheers, buddy. And we just like to toast people. And, I'll toast Trump again, too. Maybe we'll toast. Who else are we going to toast? We're not going to. We're going to pour one out for the Federal Reserve. I'll pour one out for the Federal Reserve.
Pour one out for the although they are not the homies, I can tell you that. Pour one out for them. So
they're definitely not the homies.
I'm pour one out for all the dollars lost to the Fed.
Oh my gosh, no. Well, anyway, cheers to everybody, and cheers to everybody. You, anybody who may be watching.
I'm cheersing with this boiling hot bottle of Avian. It's literally like on fire right now. This will be good.
Get those microplastics in there.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good for me. I love it. It's wonderful. Thank you, FDA.
Well, great, and thank you for hopping in on the show from the vehicle. I think that's it for the interview. And if you're watching out there, please remember to like, subscribe. Hey, look, if you want to comment. Just make sure it's either entertaining, or it's interesting, or look, even if you wanted to comment on the issues, comment on the issues. And I don't know, John, if you want to hop in.
Just don't be a bitch. Don't be
just be a real one. So with that, though, I'm going to say thank you again, Johnny, and I think that's it for the show. And we look forward to you winning. And if not, whatever happens, I would love to have you back on the show anytime you'd like to come back on. So
wonderful. I appreciate you guys.